living in the shadows. I am an old man now. My hair is gray and my face has many lines. But I remember my teenage years very well. I often think about those days. I remember the day I saw the cloud. It was a small white cloud in the sky. It did not move. It just stayed there in the same spot. I sat on a wooden bench in the park and looked at it. I did not talk. I did not move. I just looked at the cloud and started to think. People walked past me. Birds flew above me, but I did not see them. I only saw the cloud. I thought about many things that day. I thought about my job and how it felt boring. I thought about my small apartment with a broken light. I thought about what I said to my friend last week. I thought, did I say too much? I thought, did I say too little? My head was full. My heart was heavy. I did not move from the bench. The cloud was still there. That is how I lived my life. I did not run. I did not jump. I did not dance. I sat and I thought I watched people live their lives. I watched them laugh and cry, but I only watched. I did not join. I was not sad. I was not happy. I was full of thoughts, like a full cup of water that cannot take more. Sometimes I wanted to act. I wanted to stand up. I wanted to walk. I wanted to go to a new place. But then I thought, what if I fail? I thought, what if it is a bad idea? So I stayed. I sat. I thought again, and the moment passed. The day ended, and I did nothing. I told myself tomorrow will be different, but it was always the same. Years went by like this. I got older, my hair turned gray, my body felt slow, but my mind never stopped. I thought about time. I thought about dreams. I thought about love, but I never lived them. One morning I looked in the mirror and asked, who am I? I did not know the answer. I only knew I had thought too much and done too little. One day I saw a man running in the rain. He was wet and cold, but he was smiling. I watched him from my window. I thought, why is he happy? He had no umbrella. His shoes were full of water, but he looked free. I sat on my chair, warm and dry, but I did not smile. I wanted to feel that freedom, but I only watched. I started to write my thoughts in a notebook. Page after page, I wrote everything in my mind. I wrote about my fears. I wrote about my plans. I wrote about the things I never said. The notebook became full. Then I got a new one. I did not show my words to anyone. They were my secret world. It helped for a little while, but nothing changed in real life. At night, I cannot sleep. I lay in bed and looked at the ceiling. My mind was loud. I thought about mistakes. I thought about chances I did not take. I thought about people who left. I thought about people I pushed away. Every night was the same. I closed my eyes, but I was not resting. I was thinking. The room was dark, but my head was full of noise. One morning I went outside early. The street was quiet. The sun was not up yet. I sat on a bench near a tree. I closed my eyes and listened to the wind. I thought, maybe today I will try something new. But then I thought again, what if I fail? What if I look silly? I opened my eyes and walked back home. The day had not started and I had already given up. I saw other people doing things. They made mistakes. They tried again. They laughed. They cried. But they moved. I stayed still. My life was like a paused movie. I knew something was wrong, but I did not know how to fix it. I waited for a sign. I waited for a push. But life does not wait. It moves with or without you. I was left behind inside my own head. I remember a time when I almost changed. I was at a small cafe. The waitress smiled at me and asked, "How are you today?" I wanted to say more than fine. I wanted to tell her about my thoughts, my fears, my dreams. But I said nothing. I smiled back and looked at my coffee. My heart beat fast, but my mouth stayed closed. The moment passed. She walked away. I stayed the same. I once got a phone call from an old friend. He spoke. "Let's meet." I said maybe next week, but next week never came. I kept thinking about what to say, how to act, what to wear. I worried too much. I waited too long. He stopped calling. I missed a friend because I could not stop thinking. I chose silence over action. I told myself I had good reasons, but they were only excuses. I walked past a dance class once. The music was loud and happy. People were learning, laughing, making mistakes. A woman asked me, "Do you want to try?" I looked inside. I wanted to join. I really did. But I said no, thank you. Then I stood outside for 10 more minutes watching them dance. I told myself next time, but I knew there would be no next time. I turned and walked away. I often ask myself, why do I think so much? Maybe I was afraid to live. Maybe I thought too much because I wanted things to be perfect. I wanted the right time, the right words, the right feeling. But life is not perfect. Life is messy and fast. If you think too much, you miss it. I knew this, but still I could not change. My feet were heavy. My thoughts were chains. I started to hate mirrors. They show me a face I did not know. The man in the mirror looked tired. He looked older than his age. His eyes were full of questions with no answers. He had stories inside him, but no one to hear them. He had ideas, but never used them. I looked at him and thought, is this really me? I did not answer. I just turned away as I always did. One evening I sat on my balcony and looked at the sunset. The sky was orange and pink. It looked like a painting. People were walking, talking, living. I was alone as always. I thought, what if I jump into life now? What if I stop thinking and just do something? My hands shook, my heart beat fast, but I stayed in my chair. The sunset ended. The sky turned dark. I had done nothing again. I saw a child fall in the street one day. He cried loudly. His mother ran to him, picked him up, and kissed his hand. The boy smiled again. I thought, that is life. Falling and getting up, crying, and then smiling. I stood far away and watched. I wanted to feel that simple love, that real pain, that quick joy. But I was too far from it. I only knew thoughts, not feelings. Sometimes I try to be different. I made lists. I planned days. I said, today I will call someone. Today I will go out. Today I will try. But every time I found a reason to stop, I told myself, not now, maybe later. I need to think more. And the day passed. The list stayed full. My life stayed the same. My plans were always in my head, never in my hands. There was a guitar in my room. I bought it many years ago. I thought I would learn. I watched videos. I read books. I thought about playing music, about singing songs, but I never touched the strings. The guitar stayed in the corner, full of dust, just like me. Full of dreams, full of plans, but silent. Still, waiting for a moment that never came. I knew people who failed many times. They lost jobs. They made mistakes, but they laughed, learned, and lived. I never failed, but I never lived. I stayed safe, but I was not alive. I want to be like them. I wanted to try, to fall, to rise again. But my mind was a cage. My fear was the lock, and I held the key, but never used it. One night, I had a strange dream. I was in a room full of doors. Each door had a word on it: love, adventure, change, fear, and silence. I walked to the door that said love, but I stopped. I walked to adventure, but I turned away. In the end, I opened silence. The room was empty, cold, dark. I sat down in the middle and waited. When I woke up, I felt the same. I went to a bookstore once. I picked up a book about brave people. They were not perfect. They were scared, like me, but they acted anyway. They moved. They lived. I read their stories and felt something inside me. It was small, like a light, but it faded quickly. I closed the book and left the store. I thought their lives are not mine. And just like that, I let the feeling die. There was a man who played music near the train station. He was not young, and his clothes were old, but his face was bright. His fingers moved fast. His eyes were closed. People dropped coins into his case. I stood there for a long time. I thought, he is not rich, but he is full of life. I wanted to talk to him. I wanted to ask, how did you begin? But I just walked away. I saw my neighbor planting flowers. She was old, but her hands were strong. She worked slowly with care. She smiled at each flower like it was a friend. I thought she gives life to the ground. I had a small pot at home. I thought maybe I can grow something. I took the pot, filled it with soil, and placed it by the window. But I forgot to plant the seed. Days passed. Nothing grew. I began to ask myself, what am I waiting for? I had no answer. Time was moving, but I was not. I was like a clock with no hands. People around me lived full lives. I had memories, but no stories. I had plans, but no actions. I was tired of thinking. I wanted to change, but I did not know how. I looked at my life and saw only questions, never answers. One morning I stood in front of the mirror again, but this time I did not turn away. I looked into my eyes and said, "You have thought enough. Now it's time to live." My voice was quiet, but it felt true. I did not feel strong, but I felt ready to take one small step. That step did not have to be big. It just had to be real. I walked to the park near my home. The air was cool. The sun was soft. I sat on a bench and watched people. A boy ran past me, laughing. An old man fed birds with a smile. A woman painted in silence. No one was perfect, but everyone was trying. I took a deep breath. For the first time in years, I felt part of the world, not outside it. Later that day, I took out my notebook, but I did not write plans. I wrote one line: I'm not my thoughts. I closed the book and went outside again. I walked without thinking. I looked at the sky. I smiled at a stranger. I felt nervous, but I also felt alive. That feeling was new, and I wanted more of it, even if it was scary. I know I cannot change everything at once. I still think too much. I still wait too long. But now I catch myself. I take small steps. I speak when I want to be silent. I move when I want to hide. Life is not waiting, so I will not wait either. Maybe I will fail. Maybe I will fall. But now I understand something. Living is better than only thinking about life. How did you like this story? Please share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to share with your friends.